Online 24/7 at 101jamz.com.
This is
101.3 JAMZ. JAMZ.
In my humble opinion, 101 Jams, number one for classics in today's hip-hop and R&B.
That's right, home of the Cheryl Underwood radio show and the Rise and Grind morning show.
That's right. And as we told you before, it is our pleasure that we're joined in studio, Razor and Aaron, and we also have Mr. Alex Scott with us today. And also, very serious subject. We love to keep y'all informed, so that then you can act on that information that we give you, educate and activate. And so we have Brother Vernon Durden with us right now. And he is actually the President Emeritus of the Beaumont chapter of the 100 Black Men of America. Brother Vernon, how are you today, sir?
I am blessed, my brother. How are you today?
I'm blessed as well. For one, glad to be able to talk to you, to know that you are doing well, and to be able to hear some good news coming out of the Houston area in Texas, because it's an unfortunate tragedy that occurred. And there's a lot of misinformation going on, as usually in the media, about who's getting served, who still needs help, and who has been helped. So we're glad you could join this discussion with us today. And if you wouldn't mind, you can start off the conversation for us, just to give us that bird's eye view. You being on the ground there and helping. Just give us a little overview, a little summary of what has taken place in our communities.
Okay, thank you for having me, and thank you for your broadcast. It's a service that is definitely needed, and it will afford a lot of folks information from our Black perspective. To give you an idea, Beaumont and the Golden Triangle is about 250,000 people. We're very near the Nature's River, and the tributaries that remove water from our area are three, which were overwhelmed by the Hurricane Harvery. So imagine us in somewhat of a bowl requiring three tributaries to remove the water, and they are full. So when the hurricane came, even though there wasn't a direct hit, the water would continue to rise even when the hurricane and the rain stopped, because water could not get out.
Okay.
So, and coupled with that is the water system in our area went down, meaning the pumps got underwater. So the water that you bathed with, drank with, cooked with, that water was cut off. So we were in a pretty precarious position, having too much water around us and not enough water to drink.
Now give us the understanding. When you look on TV, I know Razor had made the observation of, like, you tend to see certain people sometimes on TV, and you see certain neighborhoods. But when it comes to the demographic down there, what insight can you give us as far as maybe who was hit the hardest and who's been given resources and who still needs it?
Usually the neighborhoods in this area are not necessarily meaning there are going to be some blacks and whites and Latinos and whatever they all living together. So we were all impacted probably equally, and the services to support us were really, really good. Whether you know it or not, I'm on the team of the National Disaster Relief, which is the NCBCP, National Coalition of Black Civic Participants. So we were on the front end of participating in the relief and of the disaster relief for the entire community. And to that end, we have really been inundated, supplied with water, toiletries, clothing, food, you name it. We even had, you may be familiar with, they call it Money Mayweather. He sent supplies down. Kendrick Perkins sent supplies down. He also, J.J. Watt with the Houston Texans, he had a big fundraiser. Beyonce had a big fundraiser. So we are getting support and supplies to the areas.
Yeah. That's actually good to hear, because y'all know a lot of times, especially with some of the top tier celebrities like Floyd Mayweather, everybody be like, I ain't giving that clown none of my money. He don't do nothing with it. So it's good. It's good that when we hear stuff like that. Right. But let me ask y'all in the room though, have y'all ever experienced yourselves a natural disaster like that, or had to help out in things of that sort?
Katrina and came through this area, so we've been through a disaster before in the early 2000s, but nothing like this, where so many people were not wind, and we had very little wind. There's a lot of rainwater. And I was looking on the internet today in the Bahamas, where I don't know if you had the opportunity to look at it, but Hurricane Irma has sucked all the water out of the beaches in the Bahamas, and they're actually walking on dry land because of the hurricane there. But this time we didn't have wind; we just had water, and this was a different type of disaster in that you went to sleep one way and woke up the next couple of days with all this water around you because of the water that came down.
Okay, and Alex, I think you wanted to answer.
No, I was asking. I seen where right after the hurricane, President Trump announced his move with the DACA, and I was wondering, would that impact any of the monies getting help in some of the areas of the people who need to rebuild? Now, would they have any trouble coming to the government asking for help, knowing that this program is going to be ended?
I didn't see any evidence of any slowing of resources, and I didn't see any evidence of any person participating helping each other, because imagine highways where there were cars, and actually, gentlemen, I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but our highways are elevated, and those highways were used for boatways. Actually, boats was going down the highways, going into areas, rescuing people, and getting them to safety. So I understand the DACA. I call him number 45. He came out with his rhetoric about, suspending DACA, but that did not have any negative impact on any resources or the participation in this area one bit.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about that too, about 45 and some others who gets credit sometimes. One of the things that I heard, and everybody chime in if you've heard different, but understand that out of the proceeds and donations that go to groups such as the Red Cross, that only like less than 30% of that actually goes directly to people affected by disasters. So besides,
let me give you a comment on that. Also, that is a good statement you made. So to that end, the elected officials in this area have been telling people not to donate to Red Cross, but to donate to the institutions and folks that actually need it to keep that little person out of it, being the Red Cross. So
that's exactly what I was about to ask you.
Their funds are going directly to distribution centers.
Right. I was just about to ask you that, because it's my understanding that there's a department in the mayor's office of Houston particularly, right, that's making sure that urban communities, minority communities are getting direct streams of resources, correct?
Correct. And just for your information, that mayor is Sylvester Turner, who's African American, and in his first term, he balanced the budget and put money back on the table. So he has a very good reputation and a good following, and if he says it, then the community's going to do it. And Houston, they were hard hit, but like now, the water's receded. People are getting back in their homes and going back to damaged areas, but the water has gone down and people are beginning to mend.
Okay. Mr. Durden, we're going to take a quick break, okay? You're listening to In My Humble Opinion on 101 Jams. We'll continue this conversation on the other end of this break.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams. There ain't no competition. Don't be fooled.
For real, though.
We're the only station keeping the heat in Seville. It's 101 Jams.
And we're back. IMHO 101 Jams. And we're talking to Brother Vernon Durden from down in Beaumont, Texas, or down in the Houston, Texas area. For those of you who aren't as familiar with Port Arthur and Beaumont. And we are discussing the urban community and the resources that it is getting in rebuilding the communities affected by Hurricane Harvey. And Brother Vernon, we had a couple of our folks in the studio here that wanted to chime in with a couple comments. Here's Brother Aaron Simmons.
Hey, Mr. Vernon, appreciate you taking your time today. One of the observations that I've this event, unfortunately, has a lot of, and I think everybody in the room agrees,
a lot of eerie similarities to Hurricane Katrina, not only with a lot of the quote-unquote demographics, but the current mayor that's in office, Mr. Sylvester. I actually read an article about him in the New York Times on how he did a pretty good job in not evacuating. But if people remember Hurricane Katrina and the mayor that was there at that time, Mr. Ray Nagin, a couple years later, things had gone left for him really, really quick. Allegations of corruption and things of that nature. Just from your point of view, how do you think Mr. Sylvester's been handling the situation? What do you think is going to be the impact of investors coming in the next couple of years? Because now you're going to have a lot of real estate that's going to be up for grabs and things of that nature. How do you think that how do you think the mayor and his team are going to be able to handle that situation down there?
Like I mentioned earlier, he came in, he won by a very, very good margin. And he's not new to politics, he's new to economics. And like I mentioned earlier, he turned that city around economically with the budget. And he went in, cleaned up the budget in record time and got most of the departments and all the departments to participate, put money back on the table. And as you know, Houston's one of the fastest growing cities in the nation, and poverty is declined. So I hear you say, it's going to be up for grabs, but they are properties at a premium, and the city has one of the greatest ports. And as you know, when you have a great port and airlines, you're going to have good economics. So that is not going to change. It's a little setback. He's not the type of, I don't mean this in a bad way, but he is a generation of developers and financiers above Nagin, which means had he been in New Orleans, that would not have happened. So I don't think anyone's going to be deterred or discouraged about anything about the hurricane. They call it a force majeure. You can't do anything about nature, but what you can do is put together a plan, a revitalization plan, a sustainability plan that gets your city, back productive, and he is definitely going to do that.
And if you're just joining us, we are talking to Mr. Vernon Durden, and he is President Emeritus of the 100 Black Men Beaumont chapter down there in the Houston, Texas area. And Max?
Yeah, I had a quick question for you, Mr. Durden. Thanks again for joining us. So my work background is kind of like affordable housing and homelessness. And so I'm wondering whether or not Houston is going to fall in the same type of scenario as the Katrina victims did, where many of them are displaced. America already has a major issue of homelessness that we can't seem to get a grasp on right now. And then for the people being displaced, I'm assuming public housing, affordable housing would play a role in that. We already can't fulfill the needs that are needed. So I'm just wondering what organizations are being put into place or what measurements are being taken in order to handle the people that are completely displaced. There is no home to return to.
Part of part of that was garbled, but I think the theme of your conversation was there are people who have resources that are going to make it, but people who do not have resources, they're going to have a harder time. Is that what she's basically saying?
For the families that are completely displaced, where there is no home to return to, I'm wondering what measurements are being put into place to be able to help them to gain stability again.
Okay. We're having some of the same concerns here, and we will convene a call tonight because FEMA, we're getting our reports that they are not coming to the table with the resources and that they should. They're asking people to get loans. I've put in a call to my county judge and commissioners to find out exactly when FEMA is going to be on the ground here. They have not even put a trail on the ground to address people. So, from Mr. Turner, if there's opportunity for the city to find investors, there is those communities. There were programs that had been abandoned, and he got those programs back. So he has a lot of participation and support. So I see, it may not be overnight, but I do see that we'll be able to provide the type of infrastructure and support that those folks come need.
Gotcha. Okay, now Alex has a comment.
I was just asking because I know during like Storm Sandy, a lot of the Texas legislators voted against them getting the funds for FEMA. And now with Hurricane Irma coming, are you guys nervous or feeling any backlash, thinking that you might get any backlash because the Florida senators stood up for New York and New Jersey, and the Texas senators were really outspoken and didn't want to help?
Well, like I mentioned to you, NCBCP, National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, we're condemning call tonight. I'm going to tell you who's going to call. It's the Rap Institute, the National Urban League. Senator Boris Miles was from Houston. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, the Chairman Emeritus, Chairman-elect Tony Dodge from the 100 Black Men of America. So some of the and the president of NAACP. So some of the leading community participants and activists are going to be on this call, and we are going to keep our finger on the pulse of everything that's happening. We're going to bring this subject up, just like you're talking about now, about what's going to happen, whether it be a backlash for this national agenda to not support this area because certain congressmen, elected officials voted one way and other elected officials voted another way. We're going to address that subject. And on the call also are police chiefs and county commissioners. I'm going to have on the call from my area the 2 black county commissioners, Edward Bradford and Shane Senegal, going to be on the call tonight. So if anything can happen from the legislative branch and also from the local governing bodies, we're going to address it on call and push it on up to the national agenda.
Awesome. And if I understood you correctly, you said to make sure that we're working directly with local organizations that we know of to get the resources to the people. And I think that is the number one takeaway. And while y'all talking, try to do something with the refineries down there, Brother Vernon. Our oil price is too high. but thank you, sir. We got to run. We're up against the hour. But thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you again soon. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Live from the Mountain Dew Studios in Charlottesville, it's 101.3 Jams. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 101 Jams.
101 Jams is a nonprofit community radio station. It is our mission to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with local and national news and events while providing you the best of classic and new hip-hop and R&B. The views expressed on 101 Jams belong to those expressing them and do not reflect the views or beliefs of 101 Jams, the board of directors, or its parent company, Air Mix Virginia. To find out more about how 101 Jams serves your community, visit our website, 101jamz.com, or facebook.com/101jams.